So the first thing that we'll do about coordinate geometry is equations of a straight line. Now, these are a few equations that I've written, and all of these are equations of straight line. How do we identify that whether it's an equation of a straight line or not? It has an x and an y not greater than the power of 1. So that is the equation of a straight line. Yes, this form has an extra added advantage. What is this particular form? This particular form is called y is equals to mx plus c. If you write any equation in this particular form, what is so special about this form? Y is the subject here. So if you make y the subject of the formula, you can easily identify your gradient, which is the coefficient of x, and your y-intercept, which is the constant that is left. Is this clear? So this form has an extra advantage. Okay, so these are equations of straight line. Now we need two things to make any, again, we are focused on how to make the equation of a straight line. So we need two things to make equation of a straight line. One is gradient of the line, and the next thing is any point on the line. These are the two things that we focus on when we are making an equation of a straight line. One is gradient, I am calling it m, and the other is any point on the line, which is x1 and y1. Is this clear? Remember, I'm not talking about the best form that we can obtain. That is undoubtedly y equals to mx plus c. Right now, I'm more focused on the best way to make the equation of a straight line. Is this clear? So there are two things that I need: gradient of the line and any point on the line. Okay, how do I get gradient of the line? For your level, for O-level mathematics, there are three ways of doing it. First is from 2 points. I can get the gradient from 2 points. How do I do that? Yes, that is m is y2 minus y1 upon x2 minus x1. Is this clear? The next is from parallel lines, in which I say that the gradient of the first one is equal to the gradient of the second one. Parallel lines have equal gradient. So if you tell me to make the equation of a line, and I know that that line is parallel to another line, so I can just use the gradient of one line for the gradient of the next line. The next is from perpendicular lines. And how do I do that? M1, M2 is -1. The product of their gradients is -1. The easier way to do this is that their gradients are a negative reciprocal of each other. For example, if I give you the gradient of one of the lines is 3/5, what is the gradient of its perpendicular line? Gradient is 3/5 of one of the lines. What is the gradient of its perpendicular line? I'm telling you, I have the easier, not the parallel line, perpendicular line. Change the sign and reciprocate it. Negative reciprocal, -5/3. Or you can use this formula as well. एक का gradient डाल दो 3/5, and you see your answer will be -5/3. Is this clear? यहाँ तक बात समझ आ गई? Once you have these two quantities, you can easily make the equation of a straight line. Y minus y1 is equals to m bracket x minus x1. This is also called the point gradient method. Once, trust me on this when I tell you that. I'm being very serious. This is the easiest way to make the equation of it. I know you people go for y plus mx plus c, you plug in the gradient, then you plug in y and x, then you figure out c, and you believe that's the easiest one. No. Y plus mx plus c might be the most useful form of the equation of the straight line, but this is the easiest way to make the equation of a straight line, where y1 and x1 are the points that you need to plug in, m is the gradient you need to plug in, and you will get your equation very easily. Is this clear? The equation will eventually contain y and x, right? Is this clear? So this is equation of a straight line. Okay, the next thing we do is midpoint. How do we find the middle of any two things? What is the middle of 3 and 5? What is the middle of 3 and 5? 4. Very good. Now figure out the method of doing this. How do you do it? You add 3 and 5 together and you divide it by 2. So the midpoint is also the same thing. If I have A as one of the points and the coordinates are x1 and y1, and if I have B as the other point, which is x2 and y2, and I'll say my midpoint of AB is just x1 plus x2 divided by 2. This is how I get the x coordinate, and y1 plus y2 upon 2. This is the midpoint of the 2 points that we are given with. Is this clear? Anything that you people are unable to comprehend? बाकी बातें यहाँ तक कोई मसला तो नहीं है. This is how you get your midpoint. Very easy. Middle of two things. So you need to find the middle of x, and you also need to find the middle of y. Is this clear? Okay, now let's just understand how do we get the distance. So I'm calling you this point A and this point B. Okay. And the coordinates of A are x1, y1. I'm doing this specifically without the graph so that you understand it and not directly using the graph. Otherwise, we are not provided with the graphs in the paper, and how do we do the calculation without it? So these are the points. Coordinates of A are x1, y1, and coordinates of B are x2 and y2. Okay, let's talk about the horizontal distance first. How do I find the horizontal distance? This distance, how do I do it? I know the x coordinates of this, and I know the x coordinate of A. For example, if their x coordinate is 8 for B and for A it's 1, so what will this length be? B का x coordinate 8 ले लो, A का 1 ले लो, x coordinate. What will this length be? Horizontal length कितनी होगी? If you're going from 1 till 8, what is the length that you have covered? 8. If you're going from 1 till 8, what is the length that you have covered? Think again. You are at 1. You're going till 8. What is the distance that you have traveled? No? If you're at 3 and you're going at 10, what is the distance you've traveled? 7. So if you're at 1 and if you're going at 8, what is the distance that you have traveled? 7. So the easier way to understand is that horizontal lengths can simply be found by subtracting x coordinates. Kabhi bhi aapko you need horizontal length, you don't need any formula, you don't need anything. You just subtract their x coordinates and you get horizontal lengths on the graph. Is this clear or not? So this x coordinate data is just subtract the horizontal lengths and you x coordinates to get your horizontal lengths. Now what about the vertical length? How do we get the vertical length? That is y2 minus you just simply subtract the y coordinates to get your vertical length. Is this clear or not? Remember, I'm being very specific about the dimensions and the directions here. Vertical length कभी भी निकालनी है ग्राफ पे, कुछ नहीं करो, बस हाइट्स का फर्क अगर निकालना है ना, y की कोई एक लेंथ y2 minus y1. हॉरिजॉन्टल लेंथ निकालनी है, x2 minus x1. अगर जमीन पे आप ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं आप जमीन का डिस्टेंस देखते हैं ना, you don't see the heights and anything else. Is this right? So these are when now if we need to find the length of AB, then what? ना तो वो vertical है ना वो horizontal है. Then what do you do? Yes. Now it's neither a horizontal distance nor a vertical distance. Yes. How do you find the length? Of a line segment? How do you do that? Can I apply Pythagoras theorem here? Can I say that if I were to find horizontal distance, I'll get it x2 minus x1. These vertical lines are for modulus or magnitude that agar negative kabhi aa jaye, so the distance cannot be negative, we'll take it as positive. Is this clear? So इसके लिए हम ये lines लगा लेते हैं, nothing to worry about. Then a vertical distance अगर मुझे निकालना है, so I find y2 minus y. Now what if the distance is diagonal? It's neither vertical nor horizontal, like in the case that we have just studied. So I can apply Pythagoras theorem. AB ka square is can I do that? Yeah. Yes. So simply, this is the distance formula that you force yourself to memorize, which you should not. And remember, it doesn't matter whether I write x2 plus x1 first or y2, x2 minus x1 first or y2 minus y1 first. Say it doesn't matter because their squares are adding up. This is the one that you must have memorized without any logic. Now, do you understand? It's just a Pythagoras theorem on a graph. Is this clear or not? Y2 minus y1 is your vertical length, you square it. Plus x2 minus x1 is your horizontal length, you square it. You add their squares, if you under root the entire thing, you get your hypotenuse, which is your diagonal distance. Is this clear? Anything that is not clear till this point? You know how to make the equation, you know the midpoint, and you know the distance between 2 points. Clear?